All right, it's the Buckeye Blitz on the Fan Free Sports Network, powered by DST Media. I'm Jeff Thitoff. They call me Tito. Follow me on Twitter. We're at Fit. Go to the website, fansfreesports.com. Also, download the app. It's free for Apple and Android users. And also, Fan Free Sports Facebook group. Join that as well. We've got so many great shows and new programming coming out on a weekly basis. Great things happening with Fan Free Sports. But this is the Buckeye Blitz. And again, I thank you for tuning in. We've got a lot to talk about today. We'll start with men's basketball. On the men's hoop side, the hoop season's over after the loss to the NIT, and now new head coach Jake Diebler starts off in his first full offseason as the head coach for Ohio State. He signed his deal and ready to roll. See what happens with next season's team. But when I got some news that came out with Bowen Hardman, he was a three-star kid out of Cincinnati Princeton, and he has entered the transfer portal, as that Scotty Middleton. Middleton's a much bigger deal. Hardman played sparingly over the last couple of years. He was sophomore guard. He was, like I say, a three-star prospect. He played 25 games complete games in 2 seasons. 25 games all he played over 2 seasons. Middleton's a bigger deal. He was a freshman who had some moments this year. There were some things where he missed a couple of games for some other reasons, but he's a bigger loss for Ohio State, but not the worst thing to happen. I don't know if Middleton, and we may see still someone else leave as well. We're not sure how this roster will look next year. The way they finished under Jake Diebler, we would think that most of the key players will stick around. Obviously, we know they lose Jameson Battle. He's gone. Zed Key, I think, could come back for another year. Wait to see if he chooses to do that or not. But Bowen Hardman gone. Scotty Middleton looks like he's gone as well. Now, Bruce Thornton, the leading scorer, top assist man, the point guard, tops in steals for Ohio State this year. He announced he is coming back. There were rumors that he, by the way, after 2 years now at Ohio State, there's also rumors that Felix Akpara might be looking to move. He reiterated his commitment to Ohio State. Wait to hear Roddy Gale what he does. But Ohio State also got Meechie Johnson back. Now, Meechie Johnson is a player for Ohio State. Played a couple years at Ohio State and then transferred to South Carolina. He played just 17 games as a freshman. Only played about less than 6 minutes a game. And then he got 17 minutes a game as a sophomore, then decided to leave and go to South Carolina when you had guys like Bruce Thornton coming in and Roddy Gale. So he left to go to South Carolina, and now he is coming back. He averaged 12.7 points a game in his first year with South Carolina, and then 14.1 points a game this past season. And he's a great shooter. The Gamecocks are 26-7. He shot 40% from the field, and he will now join that backcourt with Thornton and Gale. It's a nice addition coming home to Ohio State. He's a Garfield Heights kid from up in the northern part of the state, but it's good to have him back now for Ohio State and give them a third guard in that mix, which is going to help offset some of the Scotty Middleton production loss. Look, he's only 6'2", Josh only 6'2", so they've got a small backcourt if they decide to go with a three-guard rotation, which Ohio State has done before, but it'll be interesting to see what happens there with how that all plays out. And who else comes in for Ohio State? The Buckeyes are talking to other players about maybe coming in. Matt Alaka, who's a kid familiar with Bradley. He just finished up his career at Princeton. Deadly outside shooter, 6'4" kid, coach's son, great defender, great basketball IQ. He's someone Ohio State's talked to. They've also talked to Jalen Sullinger, J.J. Sullinger's son, former Buckeye. He's with Kent State. They talked to him as well. And so we'll see how the Ohio State roster ends up playing out. But it's obviously not, it's still a work in progress for Jake Diebler's first full off season here. But getting Meechie Johnson, that's a big ad. Probably want to be 20 to 30, somewhere in that range as far as best available players in the transfer portal. So keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on what Ohio State does. Waiting here for Roddy Gale. I think Roddy Gale will stick around, but we got to find out. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if one or two players leave. I don't think they'll be key players. Scotty Middleton's probably the most significant player that's going to leave, in my opinion. I think Roddy Gale will come back, but we'll see what happens with Ohio State, though, in this transfer portal, and as Jake Diebler continues to figure out how to construct the roster for the upcoming 2024-2025 season. Let's go to the women's side now. Women obviously lost a tough game to Duke in their second-round game of the NCAA tournament. An upset there. Their Buckeyes should have won that one. Tough loss this season for Kevin McGuff's team. They lost 2 of the last 3 games. They lost that game to Iowa to end the season, lost to Maryland in their first Big Ten tournament game in the quarterfinals, and then lose to they get the win over Maine, and then they lose to Duke in the second round of the NCAA tournament. So tough finish for this team. J.C. Sheldsbury, obviously, over Ohio State, one of the most decorated and most accomplished women's players in Ohio State program history. And now we've got a couple of players. If you expect this, they're going to leave. Emma Shoemate's going to leave. She is she played 2 years for Ohio State. She's from Newark and actually went to West Virginia originally, was there for like a quarter, then left West Virginia to come to Ohio State and didn't play a lot in a couple of years, but still, I thought she would come back and stick around again, but she has decided to move on, especially with some of the players that are leaving for Ohio State. It seemed like there was opportunities for playing time for Emma, but she is gone now. Um, she averaged 2.8 points a season, 2.8 points a game. I'm sorry. Played 59 games with Ohio State. Diana Collins, another one. This will also surprise me. She was a guard freshman. She was from the Georgia area, and she didn't play much near the end of the year. But you thought they were leaving with Sheldon being gone, and then she when you might lose Ricky Harris as well. Celeste Taylor's gone. So it seemed like maybe she would stick around, but she has decided to enter the transfer portal as well. So the Ohio State women's team takes a couple of losses there. They will also get transfers in, though. They've got a hot shot point guard coming in that's going to join the squad here this year that played the College All-American game. So they'll be okay. But I'm surprised that both those young ladies chose to go elsewhere and pursue their college careers. All right, let's get to football now. It's Student Appreciation Day, which is a scrimmage they hold at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. They held on Saturday, where they allowed, I think, about 2,000 students were in there to watch a scrimmage for the Ohio State team, kind of a prelude to the spring game. But and in that game, it's become very clear right now that Jeremiah Smith is the guy. I mean, he's probably better from everything I can read. I think I've heard people have been there. I think he's better right now than Marvin Harrison Jr. was when he came in. Now, Marvin Harrison Jr., he'll be a top 5, should be a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. Who the hell knows what will happen? But he worked his ass off to get better each year with how his work ethic was off the charts at Ohio State. Marvin Harrison Jr. was. So Jeremiah Smith had that same opportunity to do something like that and make a move like that with his career. So Ohio State, they've got some new recruits coming in. Deshaun Stewart and DZ Jones are both committed to Ohio State in the 2025 class. A 4-star safety, Deshaun Stewart, receiver DZ Jones, a 4-star defensive lineman, London Merritt, linebacker Tarvis Alford, also committed to Ohio State. Just Stewart and Jones both play for the same school in New Jersey, DePaul Catholic in Wayne, New Jersey. And a couple of great additions to Ohio State. London Merritt out of the IMG Academy in Florida. Love that as well. DZ Jones, also a 4-star recruit. So overall, right now, the 2025 class for Ohio State, they are second among all the schools as far as recruiting goes. And so they keep adding on the defensive side of the ball, which is huge for the squad for Ohio State. I love what Jim Knowles is doing with this team. Having James Laurinaitis helping out as well now as a full-time assistant coach is also going to pay huge dividends for Ohio State as they recruit on that defensive side of the ball. Other news that come out of Ohio State. I heard Kenyatta Jackson Kenyatta Jackson Jr. talking about this, the competition on the defensive line. And that's the trenches, offensive line and defensive line are both going to be very key points for Ohio State in the upcoming season. And the offensive line, they're going to have to get it sorted out and figured out. I think they'll be fine. They should be better than last year. I hope they're better than last year. The defensive line, though, it's so deep that, and I've talked about this before, but there is no reason, no excuse for ever Ohio State, unless they have massive injuries, to have fatigue issues on the defensive line. They've got so much talent there. They've got so many guys they can rotate in. It should be fresh every single game throughout the season. It should be great for Ohio State. I'm excited to see what happens there with that. But this defense, I'm telling you, this defense this year is going to be nasty. It is going to be a top 5 defense in the country this year, if not the top defense in the country this year. They're going to be that damn good. They are loaded everywhere. It's going to be so much fun to watch this team. One other bit of news: Ohio State has hired Carlos Loughlin to be the new running back coach to replace Tony Alford, who headed out to Michigan. Now, Tony Alford caught a lot of grief for the timing of it was not great for when Alford chose to go after spring practice already started when he took the deal with Michigan. I understood though why Alford did it. He was on the final year of his contract. A lot of other guys got raises and extensions. The new guys brought in onto the staff. Alford was not one of them. I think there was a disconnect with Alford and Ryan Day that ultimately led to this. He was, again, final year of his contract and did not have an extension in place. Michigan gives him a 3-year deal, $2.5 million total. I understand why Alford did it. The timing of it was the issue. But much like what happened with Ohio State, when they hired Bill O'Brien left to go be the head coach of Boston College, and Ohio State improved, in my opinion, by getting Chip Kelly over Bill O'Brien. I love the Chip Kelly hire over Bill O'Brien. If I had a choice between the two, give me Chip Kelly all day long as the OC for a Ryan Day team because of his trust. The trust that Ryan Day has in Chip Kelly, the long-standing relationship. This is fantastic news for Ohio State. I also think Carlos Loughlin is a great move for Ohio State over Tony Alford. It's interesting. He had a buyout that was he just had an extension in the middle of March, and he had a buyout that was over $700,000. But then on Monday of this week, it drops by 50%, and that's when the deal gets done now. So he now comes into Ohio State after signing an extension with Oregon. Oregon running back coach comes over to Ohio State and takes that role there. So we've got, you see the ticker on the bottom of the screen, man. We're just so close to the Akron game. It feels like spring game coming April 13th. Well, a lot more leading into that. Thank you so much for tuning into the Buckeye Blitz. I'm Tito, Jeff Thitoff. You can follow me on the X at It Happens. Fantasy Sports. Download the app. It's free, and we'll talk again soon.